Jack Reaver had seen enough dives across the galaxy to know when a bad decision was brewing. The smell of stale alcohol, burnt plasma, and something vaguely amphibian hung in the air of the Gthar Prime Cantina. He was 3 beers deep into convincing himself he wasn't a failure when fate decided to buy him another round. The bartender, a species that looked like a toad with anxiety, croaked for him to pay his tab. Jack muttered something about intergalactic banking fees and waved him off. His luck, much like his credit score, had expired cycles ago. He wasn't a hero, not even close. Once, he'd flown escort for the Terran Navy, but a misunderstanding involving an admiral's spouse and a broken antigrave bed had earned him a permanent vacation. Now he hauled junk from moons that didn't exist to clients who pretended to pay. All he wanted was a quiet drink, a silent corner, and a reason to ignore the galaxy. That's when the fight broke out. A loud metallic screech snapped him back. A group of mercenaries, 3 bruisers and 1 with more muscles than vocabulary, were arguing with a small creature that looked like a fluorescent ferret stuffed inside a bubble. They shoved it off the table, and the thing squealed, high-pitched and panicked. Everyone turned away. Nobody wanted to get involved with mercs. Jack should have done the same. But there was something about the way the little thing's bubble wobbled that poked his conscience, or maybe his ego. Either way, the beer told him to stand. "Hey," he slurred, staggering toward them. "Pick on someone your own species." The biggest merc turned, his eyes glowing dull red. "Stay out of this, meatbag." Jack grinned, swaying. "You just called me a meatbag in a bar full of carnivores. Bold choice." Then, in one smooth, alcohol-fueled act of idiocy, he grabbed a full keg of Threxian brew and launched it like a grenade. It hit the merc square in the chest. The impact triggered the bar's anti-violence field, freezing everyone mid-motion. Drinks hovered in the air, curses turned into bubbles of silence. Jack blinked at the floating chaos. Well, that escalated smoothly. He reached for the glowing bubble creature, its tiny face pressed against the transparent shell. "Hey, little buddy, you okay?" It cooed, a sound suspiciously like a baby giggle. Jack smiled and cradled it. "You're safe now. Probably. Maybe. Depending on how mad your dad is." When the field dropped, the crowd erupted in murmurs. Someone whispered, "That's the heir of Sileun." Another gasped, "He just touched royal spawn." Security drones buzzed through the door, scanning Jack and the bubble creature. Their monotone voices declared, "Contact identified. Human subject has interfered with the royal progeny of Queen Jara." Jack froze. "Wait, progeny? As in, baby?" The drones swiveled. "Correction, royal lava. Genetic line confirmed." The bar collectively took one step back. One drunk shouted, "You're so probed." Jack, confused, tried to soothe the glowing infant. He started humming an old Earth lullaby. The translator implant glitched mid-tune, converting lyrics into what the Sileun species recognized as courtship tones. The entire bar went dead silent again. Somewhere across the stars, a queen stirred. Within minutes, the incident hit every galactic channel. Holofeeds replayed his heroic act from 20 angles. The caption read, "Human saves enemy royal infant during brawl, possible diplomatic shift." Others added, "Has the queen found a new consort?" Jack, blissfully unaware, staggered back to his rust bucket ship, the Rusty Goose. He tucked the glowing lava into a supply crate lined with spare jackets, muttering, "Don't worry, kid. I'll figure out where you belong. Just, don't leak anything biological in there." He poured himself another drink, half out of nerves, half because sobriety was overrated. As he drifted to sleep in the pilot chair, his comm panel pinged with notifications. Galactic tabloids were tagging him as the savior of the Sileun heir. A few human influencers called him Daddy Galaxy. He groaned, swiped the screen, and passed out mid-scroll. Hours later, the ship's AI woke him. "Captain, you might want to look at your inbox." Jack rubbed his eyes. "Spam again? I told you to block those interstellar dating ads." The AI hesitated. "Not spam. 4 to 7 million messages. And one direct transmission labeled Royal Priority. Jack blinked. From who? The AI paused. Message reads, I'm coming for you, human. Signed, Queen Jara. He stared at the screen, completely sober now. I should have stayed in bed. Jack woke up to the sound of alarms and the gentle hum of hyperspace. He wasn't flying. His ship was. Bad sign number 1. The Rusty Goose had been hijacked, not by pirates, but by something far worse, royalty. The Eye's voice came through, smug as ever. Good morning, Captain. You appear to be under royal abduction. Congratulations, statistically that's less common than winning the lottery or finding clean socks. Jack groaned and rubbed his face. Who's driving my ship? The Eye's tone dropped an octave. Incoming transmission. Visual feed, enhanced for intimidation. A bright shimmer filled the cockpit, forming a towering image of Queen Jara, the bioluminescent monarch of the Silune Dominion. Her eyes burned like twin novas, and her voice purred with lethal grace. Human, she said, each syllable dripping with authority. You touched my young. Jack froze, mouth half open. I mean, technically, the kid touched me first. Consent's complicated when they're glowing, Your Majesty. She leaned closer through the hologram, pupils narrowing. You breathed upon the royal lava. You sang the mating tones. Jack's brain stalled. Mating? That was a lullaby. Twinkle, twinkle little star. Her tone didn't soften. The Silune interprets song as intent. You have bound yourself by resonance. The AI muttered helpfully, Congratulations, you're married, sir. Jack slammed the console. I'm not married. The Queen tilted her head. Then you deny the life debt bond. Oh, I definitely deny that, your bioluminescence. Her lips curled. On Silune, denial only deepens the bond. Jack blinked. That explains a lot about your divorce rate. The AI cut in. May I note that your sarcasm may be considered foreplay in some cultures. Jara's eyes glimmered. You mock a queen. Few survive that. Jack leaned back, smirking. Guess I'm few. Moments later, his comm exploded with notifications. News feeds blared headlines, Human hero engaged to alien queen, and Probe Daddy, intergalactic love story begins. Jack's face plastered every holoscreen in the quadrant. He saw memes of himself photoshopped with tentacles and captions like, bound by more than duty. I can't even die in peace, he muttered. The AI cheerfully replied, on the bright side, your social credit score tripled. Apparently, you're trending under interspecies romance. Then the ship shuddered. A golden beam of light filled the cockpit. The air thickened like syrup, humming with power. And there she was, not a hologram this time, but the real Queen Jara, all 7 feet of luminous muscle and radiant menace. Her presence filled the small cabin, bioluminescent skin shifting between soft pinks and dangerous reds. Human, she said, voice both growl and melody, you have interfered with royal destiny. The child lives because of you. For that, I owe you gratitude of queens. Jack blinked, speechless. Is that monetary? Or are we talking ceremonial handshake? Jara stepped closer, her scent somewhere between ozone and temptation. On Silune, gratitude is physical, enduring, and invasive. Jack's heartbeat skipped. Invasive like taxes, or invasive like surgery? Closer to ecstasy, she purred. The AI chimed in again. Captain, you appear to be blushing at 42% intensity. Jack straightened. Look, lady, I just saved your kid. I didn't ask for, she raised a glowing hand. Silence. You have risked your life for what others would destroy. I respect that, but tradition binds me. You will be honored. Her tone stretched the word into dangerous territory. Jack gulped. Honored how, exactly? You will accompany me to my homeworld. You will be paraded before my court. You will receive personal inspection. He glanced helplessly at the AI. Is that what it sounds like? Statistically, yes. Jara's eyes gleamed. Prepare yourself, human. The universe watches. They think you a savior. I think you an enigma. You defy instinct, logic, and war itself. I must know why. Jack tried humor to mask panic. It's a human thing. We're dumb like that. The Queen's expression softened, just slightly. Dumbness, such purity. Your kind acts without calculation. Dangerous. Irresistible. Her glow dimmed to a curious violet. Jack, for reasons even he didn't understand, smiled back. We call it improvising. Then, without warning, the ship jolted. Through the viewport, he saw the expanse of space shift, her fleet surrounding him like a glittering net. Dozens of ships, each one massive enough to swallow his entire livelihood, locked onto his coordinates. He muttered, "Guess I'm not flying solo anymore." The AI whispered, "You might want to start practicing the royal bow, or whatever body part they prefer." Jara's gaze locked on him. "Do not fear, human. I will not harm you, unless you wish it." Her smile carried more threat than comfort. Jack exhaled slowly. "I'm starting to see why intergalactic diplomacy needs a safe word." As the ship aligned with the Queen's flagship, his console flickered with one last message from Galactic Newsnet. Breaking: human savior abducted by alien queen, experts predict either peace treaty or scandal. Jack leaned back, muttering to himself, "If I make it out of this alive, I'm charging extra next time someone asks me to babysit." The Queen's parting words before the beam engulfed him were soft but sharp. "You will understand, human. Gratitude can be deeply probing." Jack's last coherent thought before the light consumed him was simple and resigned: "I knew I should have stayed drunk." Jack's first impression of the Silene flagship was that someone had designed a cathedral and accidentally launched it into orbit. Everything glowed, pulsed, and hummed with energy that made his teeth buzz. He followed two armored attendants through corridors that looked suspiciously organic, muttering to himself, "If this place starts breathing, I'm out." His escort didn't laugh. Probably because their faces didn't have mouths, just slits that pulsed when they exhaled. Comforting. He was led to a massive chamber where Queen Jara waited, reclining on a throne that seemed to be alive. Her glow was softer this time, flickering shades of blue instead of war red. "Human," she said, "our customs require you to share a bonding meal before gratitude may proceed." Jack eyed the steaming platter brought before him, a writhing heap of gelatinous worms that glowed faintly pink. "Smells nutritious." The Queen tilted her head. "They are a delicacy. They taste of desire." He forced a smile. "Yeah, I've had dates like that." As he chewed on what might have been alive a moment ago, he noticed the alien attendants watching with fascination. Every time he winced, they murmured reverently. "You consume with bravery," one said. "You devour life without hesitation." Jack swallowed hard. "Yeah, humans call that surviving public school lunch." Jara's eyes shimmered with curiosity. "Your species hides strength behind humor." "Why?" "Because it's cheaper than therapy." Her amusement showed as a ripple of light across her shoulders. "You confuse me, Jack Reaver. You insult, yet it pleases. You jest, yet it teaches. When you mock fear, does it die?" "Nah," he said, "but it forgets how to drive for a while." Later, he found himself in what passed for royal quarters, a mix of organic chambers and bioluminescent pools. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat, and every motion sensor seemed to track him. The AI in his wristband whispered, "Fascinating architecture. Possibly sentient. Possibly aroused." He hissed, "Not helping." Jara entered silently, robes flowing like liquid starlight. "You have questions," she said. "Many," he admitted. "Top of the list, does your palace have doors that don't sigh when you open them?" She ignored that. "Our kind reproduces through resonance. When two beings share purpose, our bodies align." Jack coughed into his drink. "We call that teamwork." "You call it what you wish," she said, voice dripping with implication. You already sang the tone once. Your frequency lingers. Look, Jack said, that was an accident. I was drunk and trying to calm your kid. Her eyes narrowed playfully. On Sileune, calm is foreplay. The AI whispered, Captain, by current definition, you may be halfway through the second date. Jack muttered, if I die here, erase my search history. Days passed as he was forced into diplomatic learning sessions. Each involved strange rituals that would have gotten him arrested back on Earth. Handshakes involved mutual slime exchange. Toasts required direct eye contact for 12 seconds straight, which apparently meant emotional undressing. He played along because refusing seemed impolite and potentially fatal. To his surprise, Jara laughed, actually laughed, at his clumsy attempts to mimic her culture. You humans exaggerate everything, she said. Even breathing. Hey, he grinned, we like to make an entrance. She leaned forward, glowing softly. You make me understand chaos. You act without thought, yet with heart. My advisors call it recklessness. I call it refreshing. Well, Jack said, that's the nicest way anyone's ever called me stupid. Their rapport grew through misunderstanding and sarcasm. When she showed him her fleet's neural control matrix, he accidentally triggered the emergency mating beacon. The entire ship moaned in low harmony. Jara's advisors panicked. Jack apologized profusely while trying to shut it down. You have touched the pulse of our world, she said with mock severity. Twice. But beneath the humor, tension brewed. A rival faction of Sileune had declared Jara unfit, claiming her fixation on a human was blasphemy. They'd taken the royal lava hostage again, demanding her abdication. Jack's stomach sank as the message played. The kidnapper's leader sneered, return the false savior or lose your heir forever. Jara turned to Jack, expression unreadable. You began this, human. You must end it. He stood, exhausted but defiant. Fine. I'll get the kid back. But after this, I want a refund on this vacation package. The Queen tilted her head. You would risk yourself again. Yeah, he said, humans have a bad habit of finishing what we regret starting. Her glow deepened to violet, the color of admiration. If you succeed, you will choose your reward. Anything within Sileune power. Jack forced a grin. How about dinner that doesn't look like it's still screaming? Denied, she replied smoothly. But I may let you choose the manner of your probing. He froze. That's not a sentence you hear every day. She smiled with sharp teeth. Then you are overdue. The AI whispered dryly, Captain, your heart rate suggests terror, arousal, or both. He muttered, Welcome to diplomacy, buddy. As the royal guards prepared his ship for departure, Jara stepped closer and touched his chest with one glowing hand. You confuse me, Jack Reaver, she said quietly. You make war sound like flirting and death sound like a punchline. You are either the strangest creature alive or the bravest. He smiled faintly. Probably both. Humans come with bad wiring. Her gaze softened. Then may your madness save us once more. He winked. If not, at least it'll make a great story. She leaned in just enough to make him forget the chill of space. Succeed, and you may find I keep promises in creative ways. He stepped into his ship, half smiling, half terrified. Just my luck, he muttered. The only woman in the galaxy who wants me might literally eat me alive. As the rusty goose detached from the mothership, the AI murmured, Captain, statistically, this mission will end in disaster. Jack grinned. Good. At least it'll be consistent with my life choices. Jack had no plan, which, historically, meant things were about to work out in the worst possible way. The rusty goose rattled through enemy space like a drunk pigeon with a grudge. Alarms screamed, oxygen flickered, and the AI narrated every failure with cheerful detachment. Captain, our shields are at 15%. Would you like to draft a will or improvise another miracle? Jack tightened his harness. Miracle first, paperwork later. He had duct tape on one hand, a stolen plasma cutter in the other, and a half-empty flask in his jacket. The perfect recipe for disaster with style. The enemy cruiser loomed ahead, black and sharp like a blade cutting through the void. They called themselves the HFY Dominion, no humor, no warmth, just teeth and paperwork. Jack switched off the engines and let inertia carry the ship closer. Stealth mode, he whispered. The AI sighed. Captain, our stealth mode is literally just turning off the lights. Yeah, Jack said, but it works when people aren't expecting human stupidity. He drifted toward the docking bay, every instinct screaming he shouldn't be alive this long. Once inside, chaos erupted. The HFY guards didn't understand subtlety, they understood confusion even less. Jack lobbed a can of Terran energy drink into the crowd and shouted, "Grenade!" They scattered. He dove for cover, cutting through a security panel with the plasma cutter. "You are weaponizing caffeine," the AI noted. "Proud of it," Jack panted. He slipped through corridors lined with cold metal and colder intentions until he found the containment pod. Inside floated the glowing lava, still alive, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. "Hey, kid," he whispered, "miss me?" The pod alarm blared as soon as he touched it. Predictable. He hoisted the capsule onto his back, running through the ship as plasma bolts sizzled past. "AI, open a route." "There isn't one." "Then make one." "By make, do you mean explode?" "Obviously." The AI complied. Explosions followed. Jack sprinted through the chaos, smoke and shrapnel painting the air. Behind him, a voice crackled over the comms, Jara's. "Human, report. Rescue in progress, minor explosions, significant regret." "You sound excited." "That's panic, Your Majesty." He leaped into the goose, slammed the hatch, and fired the engines. The ship lurched free just as the enemy cruiser burst apart in a dazzling chain of detonations. "You're insane," the AI said. "Thanks," Jack replied, "but call me consistent." The baby cooed from the pod, glowing brighter. "See? Even the kid's impressed." Jara's fleet caught his signal and flanked him in formation. Her voice came through, low and calm. "You have done what none of my warriors could. The child lives." "Glad to hear it," Jack said, panting. "Because I'm about 10 seconds from not doing the same." Moments later, he was back aboard the royal flagship, coughing smoke, hair singed, dignity barely intact. The chamber filled with Silune royalty, their glowing forms circling him in silent awe. Jara approached, regal and terrifying as ever. "You risked yourself again," she said softly. "Why?" "Because that's what humans do," he said. "We make stupid choices look brave." Her glow shifted to gold. "Then you understand honor better than most kings." "No," he said, "I just hate seeing kids cry." The lava floated to her arms, chirping happily. Jara gazed down, then back at him. "You have earned a reward." Jack braced himself. "Please tell me it involves money and not glowing appendages." She smiled, slow and dangerous. "You may choose the manner of your probing." "You really need to find a translator who hates puns," he muttered. "You decline." "I didn't say that. I just, look, Earth's not big on ceremonial invasions." She stepped closer, eyes burning. "Then perhaps I visit Earth, to learn." He blinked. "Lady, that planet can barely handle Wi-Fi. You'll melt the internet." "Then it will remember me," she said, almost playfully. He sighed. "You're impossible." "And you," she said, "are improbable. A creature of chaos who survives through sheer refusal to obey reason. Tell me, human, what do you want?" He looked at the child, then at her, and shrugged. "A quiet life. Maybe one that doesn't end with me trending under galactic foreplay." "Denied," she said again, smiling wider. "But I can promise excitement." The royal chamber erupted in radiant laughter, a strange, melodic echo that made his skin tingle. Jack didn't know if they were celebrating victory or mocking his survival, but he grinned anyway. Fine, he said. If this is the price for doing the right thing, I'll take it. Just, next time, maybe rescue a cat instead. Jara stepped forward and touched his cheek lightly. You have changed how my kind sees yours. You turned war into comedy and fear into fascination. The stars will whisper your name. Let's hope they spell it right, he said. Her expression softened, rare warmth flickering through the glow. Goodbye for now, Jack Reaver. May your chaos protect you. He hesitated. And may your gratitude stay metaphorical. Back aboard the Goose, he collapsed into the pilot chair. The AI hummed, You survived. Again. Statistically, you should not exist. I get that a lot, he said, lighting a cigarette. A small box blinked on the console, a gift from the Queen. He opened it. Inside was a sleek silver cylinder labeled Universal Probe, Mode, Personal. He groaned. Of course. The AI scanned it. Multipurpose tool. Possibly romantic, possibly medical. That's the problem with you aliens, Jack muttered. No off switch for innuendo. He set the probe aside and poured himself a drink. Outside, the stars stretched forever, indifferent and bright. You know, he said, half to the AI, half to the void, humans aren't built for this kind of adventure. The AI replied, and yet, you keep surviving it. Jack smiled faintly, raising his glass. To bad decisions, he said. And the women who hunt me because of them. The ship drifted onward, engines humming softly. Somewhere behind him, Queen Jara watched the same stars, whispering his name in a language that sounded suspiciously like laughter. The narrator's voice cut in, low and amused. They say love knows no bounds, or species, or safe word. But in the end, maybe that's what makes humans so dangerous, they never know when to quit. A pause, then the faint sound of a cork popping. Or when to stop drinking. And as the galaxy spun, one ridiculous human, one glowing queen, and one very confused baby proved that sometimes the universe doesn't need heroes, it just needs someone stupid enough to care.